Okay, we'll begin. Welcome to the Tuesday, May 2nd, 2017 business meeting of the Hot Springs Board of Directors. Our invocation tonight will be led by Deacon Joe Harrison, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Deacon Joe.
As we begin, you might want to sit down for just a minute, okay? And then we'll pray in just a minute. I want to read you a scripture first, so you might want to sit for just a minute, okay?
I won't be able to get back up.
Boy, things are sure different around here than what they used to be. Okay. As we begin, I just want us to think about some words in Ecclesiastes that's there for the benefit of each and every one of us. And it says, there is an appointed time for everything, and a time for everything under heaven. I have considered the task which God has appointed for people to be busied about. He has made everything appropriate to its time and has put the timeless into their hearts without men's even discovering, from beginning to end, the work which God has done in them. Now, if you want to stand, let us pray. Just if you'd bow your heads and pray with me. Lord, by your redeeming work, you made a new world where we have become neighbors to each other and are enabled to love one another. We ask you to grant that we may strive toward a way of life in keeping with God's word. Send down your blessings on these your servants, especially our new Mayor Patrick McCabe, and all elected officials who so generously devote themselves to helping other people and helping the people of Hot Springs. Also, we ask blessings on all the staff, the police department, the fire department, everyone who works for this community. And when they are called on in time of need, give them wisdom, knowledge, and courage to faithfully serve you and their neighbor. In the company with the blessed, may we all see and know the glory of God forever. We especially ask your blessings, too, on all the people who live in this special city, and grant them peace and goodwill toward the world and each other. Thank you for your many graces, and continue to lead us in your way. Amen.
Amen.
Join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Deacon Joe. We'll call the meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Davidson. Jones.
Here.
Clark.
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Ramick.
Here.
Foley.
Here.
McCabe.
Here. We have the agenda before each and every one of you. Are there any additions, deletions, corrections, or modifications to the agenda, or anything to be removed or added to the consent agenda? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
We got a motion by Director Ramick and seconded by Director Clark. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion adopted. We have 3 sets of minutes for approval. Special meeting held on March 28th, 2017. Special meeting held on April 11th, 2017. And the regular meeting held on April 18th, 2017. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections or modifications to these minutes? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move for approval of these minutes.
Motion made by Director Williams. We have a second by Director Jones. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion adopted. We have recognition of guests. We have 3 proclamations. I'll deal with the first one, which is the Hot Springs Economic Development Week, which will be presented to Jim Fram. I've asked Director Clark to read and present the Goodwill Industries Week, presented to Rhonda Ritchie. And I've asked Director Ramick to present the Public Service Week proclamation to Minnie Lennox. So I'd ask Jim Fram to the podium, please, while I read, and then I'll join you. Proclamation, the City of Hot Springs, Arkansas. Whereas the Hot Springs Metro Partnership is the area's public-private economic development organization serving all of Garland County. And whereas recognizing May 7th through the 13th, 2017 as Economic Development Week is an effective way to highlight the importance of economic development in our city and state. Economic developers promote economic well-being and quality of life for their communities by creating, retaining, and expanding jobs that facilitate growth, enhance wealth, and provide a stable tax base. And whereas economic developers stimulate and incubate entrepreneurism in order to help establish the next generation of business, which is a hallmark of the American economy. And whereas economic developers are engaged in a wide variety of settings, including urban, rural, local, state, provincial, and federal governments, public-private partnerships, chambers of commerce, universities, and a variety of other institutions. And whereas economic developers attract and retain high-quality jobs, develop vibrant communities, and improve the quality of life in their regions. And whereas economic developers work in the City of Hot Springs within the state of Arkansas, now therefore I, Pat McCabe, Mayor of the City of Hot Springs, on behalf of the entire Board of Directors, do hereby proclaim May 7th through the 13th, 2017 as Economic Development Week in Hot Springs, and urge all citizens to join in recognizing the importance of this profession in expanding career opportunities and improving quality of life. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the city to be affixed on this second day of May in the year of our Lord 2017. And I'd ask James Montgomery to join Jim, and I'll present this to both of you. Thank you. Say a few words.
Thank you. As all of you know, James Montgomery is our chair of our board this year, and International Economic Development Council started this celebration last year, and some of the things we were able to do in partnership with you all, our organization actually received an international award for the celebration of Economic Development Week last year, and so we're happy to partner with you this week and want to thank you very much for the interaction that we have with you all as leaders in our city, and especially with David Frazier and the city staff, and being able to partner to provide new jobs and new capital investment and explore new opportunities for our city. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now I'll ask Becca Clark to read the proclamation to Goodwill Industries. And Rhonda, come forward, please.
Whereas the people of Hot Springs value hard work and support the right of individuals to provide for themselves and their families, and whereas some members of our community require additional services, help, and training to aid them in accomplishing that goal, and whereas among those most in need of career training services are those whose job options are limited due to illiteracy, criminal past, lack of work experience, and those with mental, emotional, and physical disabilities. And whereas Goodwill Industries is North America's leading nonprofit provider of career services for people with special needs and is the world's largest private sector employer of people with disabilities. And whereas disadvantaged local residents have received vocational evaluation, vocational adjustment, job-seeking skills, and placement assistance or employment through Goodwill Industries of Arkansas. And whereas the investment made by Hot Springs in Goodwill Industries has paid off in useful work and jobs for our citizens. And whereas Goodwill Industries of Arkansas is celebrating Goodwill Industries Week, May 1 through May 7, 2017. Now, therefore, our mayor, Pat McCabe, says on behalf of the Board of Directors, we do proclaim May 7th through the 13th, 2017 as Goodwill Industries Week in and for Hot Springs, and I urge all citizens to give support to Goodwill Industries in recognition of its ability to maximize an individual's contribution to self, family, and community. In witness thereof, Pat has signed it.
Oh, thank you. I didn't even see you. So.
Thank you for all you do. You'd
Oh,
like to make a
yes.
comment or two?
I would, just real quick, as she was, oh, gosh, that's so loud. As she was explaining. Oh, okay. Well, as she was saying, Goodwill, we change lives through education, training, and employment. So for those of you who are a little bit familiar with Goodwill, it's not just a place to bring your old stuff. It's not just a place to get a great deal on some clothing and accessories. We actually put people to work. We have on-site career counselors that will work with people with disadvantages, people that can't find jobs other places, and we actually get the members of our community jobs and put them to work. So donate, shop, and change a life. Thank you.
Very good. And now I'd like to call on Director Ramick for the proclamation, Public Service Week, presented to Minnie Lennox.
Minnie, please come forward. You know I'm going to love this. Whereas everyday residents of Hot Springs and people throughout the city directly benefit from the dedication and commitment of City of Hot Springs employees, those public servants and unsung heroes that keep Hot Springs running. And whereas the City of Hot Springs employees represent numerous occupation and trades, possess a broad array of skills and expertise, and put those to use with efficiency and integrity for everyone in our city. And whereas while elected officials come and go, the consistency and institutional knowledge of the City of Hot Springs employees offers continuity of service across years of election cycles and is essential to the smooth functioning of our city over time. And whereas many City of Hot Springs employees, including our police officers and firefighters, risk their safety and in some cases their lives in service to the people of Hot Springs, and whereas we all owe a substantial debt to the gratitude to the City of Hot Springs employees. Now therefore, our Mayor, Pat McCabe of Hot Springs, on behalf of the Board of Directors, do hereby proclaim the week of May 17th through 13th, 2017 as Public Service Recognition Week in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and I encourage all residents to recognize the accomplishments and contributions of the City of Hot Springs employees and to the extent to which they all rely upon and benefit from their service. In witness whereof, Pat McCabe, hereunto, has set his hand and caused the seal of the city to be affixed on the second day of May in the year of our Lord, 2017. Thank you. Pat, will you join me down here, please?
Thank you. Thank you. In life, so often, there are those who are unthought about. If something goes wrong, you did it. If something goes right, we did it. But the thing of it is, the employees of the City of Hot Springs come from all walks of life, from all areas of the city, the county, and the state. And we come together as one to make a difference here in the City of Hot Springs. They come together with a commitment to customer service excellence. You'll see that going forward with the employees of the City of Hot Springs. So we thank you for allowing to recognize them the week of the 7th through the 13th of May as Public Service Recognition Week. So when you're out and about and you see their employees, stop and say thank you for your service. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
As we move into the reports from staff and the other remaining items on the agenda, I want to remind all those here tonight that those who choose to speak, we welcome your comments. We do ask that you hold them to within the policy of the board of 3 minutes. You all know the routine. We have a clock down, a timer here on the screen, so to aid you in your timing. So, and we all ask that your cell phones be silenced so they don't interrupt the meeting. And we recognize that you all have very busy lives, and after those agenda items that interest you, you may wish to leave. Please do so, but do so quietly so the rest of the business meeting will not be disrupted. So thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to call on the city manager for his report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First off, I want to mention that on May 13th, in conjunction with Hot Springs Cruisers Annual Car Show, the airport will be celebrating its 70th anniversary with static aircraft and other attractions starting at 11 and going until 3 p.m. Again, that's on May 13th. Also, Spring Fling was a success, even though the weather didn't cooperate with us very well. Our total tonnage hauled by the city was slightly over 200 tons. I want to thank all the residents that participated and remind them that our household hazardous waste event will be held May 13th at the Garland County Fairgrounds from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. If you have questions about that, you can contact our solid waste department at 321-6911. In the Parks and Trails Department, they hung the city's signature hanging baskets last Thursday. 130 baskets of petunias will soon be in full bloom along downtown streets and sidewalks. The baskets were grown at the city's greenhouse on Davidson Drive, and the master gardeners helped the landscape crew assemble the baskets. So thanks to the landscape gardeners. Also, the Neighborhood Services Manager, Patty Thomas, received compliments from some citizens, and we're getting more and more compliments actually coming into Neighborhood Services for their work to help clean up the city, and you'll see some of those appearing in your Friday highlights. And then you mentioned the proclamation we just had for Public Service Week. We'll be celebrating that here in the city, in City Hall. We have some awards to give out to employees internally, and we're excited about that. I want to thank again Ms. Lennox for her work in that area. And then last but not least, last week, during the storm event, which I guess was really more the weekend, city crews cleared approximately 20 streets and intersections. Deputy City Manager Bill Burrow took the initiative and contacted County Judge Rick Davis to offer the city's assistance to the county in some of its areas because it has a large area to cover. They didn't need the assistance, but I want to thank Bill for taking the initiative to offer that help. And also, the Hot Springs Fire Departments and police departments were instrumental in helping our city crews as well. I'd like to Bill to give a few more details about the work that they did.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Frazier, members of the board. You know, it was a challenging weekend for many of our employees. We had many traffic signals that were out, and we were kind of chasing those. We'd get one up and running, and we'd get a report that another had gone out. We had 7 of those throughout the city, and some of those were in some of our major corridors, Carpenter Dam and Malvern. I think it was Albert Pike and Lakeshore and Airport, which was another big one, Lowry and Malvern. These are some really highly trafficked areas. So one of the things that spurs from that is we're going to put together a master plan basically for these traffic signals, so we will be able to have some small generators at some of these, at least our major intersections, and we may do 10 or 15 of those a year. We'll be bringing that back to the board in the future, to where when we lose this power, because that's typically what happens with our traffic signals, other than a lightning strike. We did have one cabinet that got a lightning hit. but most is due to just losing power with Entergy. And they're great about trying to get those back on, but it does take some time. And during that time, if you have 7 or 8 traffic signals out, it's a mess. Mr. Frazier mentioned the many downed trees. 3 of those, we were able to get all of those except for 3 that had power lines still in those, and we worked with Entergy and our other partners to try to get the lines loose so we could get the trees out of the way. I was in contact with Mr. Garland with Entergy in responding and relaying information back to our Public Works Director, Danny McFate. But the real heroes for us are the ones that were out there cutting those trees and removing those. We had crews come in on Saturday from 1 to 3:30. Again, at 10 o'clock at night, they worked till 6 in the morning. Had another crew come in at 8 on Sunday and worked till 2. And then actually brought another crew in at 7 that evening to recover a couple of others at from 7 to 9 that had got the wires out. So really they're the true champions when we have events like that. We're able to respond quickly to all of these needs because we have staff on call and stand ready 24 hours a day, both from our traffic, our street, our public safety groups. So we're ready. And, you know, with this particular storm, we had some notice, so we're able to go out and check all the choke points. We have certain areas of the city that we know are going to be bad, some of the bridge inlets, so we go out and we clean those prior to the storm. So we're ready and we're able to handle at least some of that flow. A big area that most people don't think about is our stormwater division. And that division has made so many improvements in the community over the years, from our city weather warning siren system to the code red system, to our downtown flood warning system, which can be monitored 24 hours a day. We also have live cameras on some of the more prone ones. That's at the incident command center at the fire department. So during these events, we have one of our firemen actually watching those, monitoring those, and we're able to respond should that flooding start to occur. But all of that is due to the funding through our stormwater that continues to grow. As you know, we kind of build that system out a little bit each year. But we're able to do that because of the tools that the board has afforded staff through sound decisions in placing these early warning systems and detections out there. So I applaud you for that. It certainly makes our job easier. And again, I can't say enough for the staff that were really out there taking care of those particular needs, because, you know, it's night, it's raining. They try to do this work in between the lightning. So I just appreciate all of their efforts, from Denny McFate to John Faulkner and all the many others that are in our street crews and our traffic crews. So thank you.
Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Bill. At this time, we'll entertain any announcements concerning upcoming events from directors. Director Davidson.
As most of you know, if you've seen the paper or Facebook, we are right in day 5 of Arts in the Park. And I had a good turnout at studio tours Saturday and Sunday, despite the intermittent rain. I think there were 25 visitors, including our new mayor. I was proud to see him and his wife. But check on Facebook, hotspringsarts.org. There are events daily, during the day and every evening. Poetry Slam, I believe, is tomorrow night. So you can go online and look. Also, this May 13th, the Park Avenue Community Association wants you to know about Uptown Park Avenue. Will have fun, food, music, vendors, entertainment, and barbecue. And Park Avenue, and to keep up, that's the Hot Springs Park Avenue Summerfest. And apparently Next Level Kitchen is taking orders for smoked pork butts. So get your order into Hannah at Hot Springy Dingy if you're interested. I understand they're quite tasty. The Hot Springs Civitan Club will have a dunking booth at the David F. Watkins Memorial Park, and all funds from that will go to an ADA accessible playground for that park. Everything, with the exception of a few things, nearly everything, there was a misstatement in the paper a few weeks ago. The city has not provided funds for that park unless it's in the form of grants or CDBG funding, and they have done a lot of work on that. And so all the proceeds from this will go to help the park and Uptown, and we appreciate you attending it. Now, those of you that are great cooks, there's a dessert contest. So you may want to go on Facebook and see if you want to enter. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Davidson. Director Clark?
Well, it's not as glamorous as everything else happening on May 13th, but as someone whose job it is to help people disperse the stuff they don't want from their houses after they move, I can tell you that the hazardous household take-back day on Saturday the 13th is a really big thing. It can be very helpful because it is difficult to get rid of old paint, any old chemicals, cleaning supplies, and they will take it back and properly dispose of it. It's at the fairgrounds, and there's information on the website. It's also, I think, scrolling up here. But if you aren't really paying attention to that and you have a bunch of old paint, this is your only opportunity that I know of to get rid of it. So, yes.
Thank you, Director Clark. Any, Director Williams?
There's a little flyer was placed at our desk tonight that May 4th, I believe that's this Thursday, is National Day of Prayer. I believe that was originally designated by President Eisenhower. There are 8 city locations from noon to 1 where prayer will be held, including here at City Hall and Hot Springs Police Department, and then there's a celebration of National Day of Prayer at 6:30 at First Assembly God Church here in Hot Springs.
Very good. Director Foley.
Mr. Mayor, I have an announcement from Visit Hot Springs. I sit on that board with Director Jones as well. They would like to announce that they will be installing on May 18th from 7 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. at the front of the Hot Springs Convention Center on Convention Boulevard. They'll be installing free license plates bearing the city's name and logo to residents' cars, and let those plates spread notice about the city as our residents travel to other areas on vacation. The plates will let people know where the drivers are from as they travel outside or inside of Arkansas and outside the state, said Steve Harrison. All the drivers have to do is come to the convention center and we'll install the plates for them. If their front bumpers have pre-drilled holes for placement of a license plate, they won't even have to get out of the car. They'll serve them coffee and a donut. The plates are metal, black and teal, white custom plates with raised letters, so they're really nice plates. Good way to advertise for Hot Springs. So that is Thursday, May 18th from 7 a.m. to 2:30 p.m., and it's on a first-come, first-served basis.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Foley. May is National Bike Month, so dust off your bike, oil that chain, and get out there. But please wear a helmet. I have a little prop here I'm going to talk about and the importance of helmets. And on the week of May 15th through the 19th is Ride Your Bike to Work Week. So if any of you can safely ride your bike to work, after you dust it off, that'd be great. And the actual official day is the 19th. So I'm not sure I'll be riding my bike to work. I don't know if I can get across Airport Road all the way down without having a problem. But on Friday, a more trusting ride, Friday, May 26th, we're having put on by Visit Hot Springs, a slow roll starting at north on Park Avenue, Director Davidson's area, at Spa City Cycling at 4:30. We're going to begin and gather up there, and they're going to have treats and games there to begin with, and we are going to slow roll down Park Avenue. It's all downhill to Weyerhaeuser. And we're going to stop at Parkside Cycle, and they're celebrating 22 years of service tonight, and for some more treats and games. And then we're going to slow roll. Water runs downhill there at Whittington, so we slow roll downhill through downtown into the Farmers Market, and where we're going to do Food Truck Friday. So, that's kicking off, and so kids of all ages can participate. I only ask that you truly wear a helmet. This helmet is about a $300 helmet.
Put it on.
It actually turned out to be a one-time use helmet. The person who rode this helmet, their spouse gave them this helmet on 2 Thursdays ago, and 2 Saturdays ago they rode it in an event in Little Rock, and through no fault of that rider, crashed because of another cyclist made a mistake, and this cyclist T-boned that individual, and the cyclist's head went down and smashed on the pavement. This helmet is broken in two. And has no integrity left to it. I'm going to pass it around at least to this side of the room. And I'm real big on safety, and when I see people riding without a helmet, it just scares the daylights out of me. This person, if they did not have a helmet on, they would most likely have been in a head injury unit and would not be the same. So not all helmets are made equally. This one, the manufacturer took a report. We're going to send that back. It's going to be replaced, and they're going to put this under study and see what they can do to improve it. I have a couple different helmets for different types of riding, and they're expensive helmets. You have one head. Please don't go out without a helmet, and make sure you have a good helmet. There are sites online that will explain to you the features of a good helmet versus just something off a big box store shelf. So please take care of your head. You only get one. So thank you. And finally, shout out to the Hot Springs Park Department. We have on May 28th, another running of the duathlon. And somebody in that department needs to be counseled because they've extended this duathlon into do it to it. And so they got the regular duathlon, and then they got almost a double duathlon. And unfortunately, there are those of us in town that are crazy enough to do it. So we'll be after it on Sunday, the 28th. But it is a good course. The duathlon's been the state championship duathlon for years, and it brings in some of the best riders in the state, and they are really fast. And of course, they run real good too. And I'm just trying to not get in anybody's way.
What time does that start?
They normally start around 7 o'clock, the duathlon. Is that too early?
Too early for me, yeah.
Okay, well.
If you can start about 8, I might.
I got an extra bike for you.
Okay.
All right. So, okay, any other director upcoming events? Thank you all. Okay, the next item of business for consideration is the consent agenda, and these items are of a routine nature and will be considered as one item of business without discussion. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
I move for adoption of the consent agenda.
Got a motion by Director Williams. Do we have a second?
Second.
We got a second by Director Ramick. Roll call, please.
Jones.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Ramick.
Aye.
Foley.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
McCabe.
Aye.
It is adopted.
This time we'll move into new business. First item under new business is to consider resolution number R1780. Council, will you please read the resolution by title?
Resolution R1780, a resolution approving the 2017 annual street paving program. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, entertain a motion and a second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
May I so move?
We got a motion by Director Jones to adopt.
Second.
We have a second by Director Clark. We have Gary Carnahan, the city engineer, will give a report. Gary?
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Mayor McCabe and directors, it's good to be here with you tonight. And about a week ago, we passed out to you a list of the streets that we would like to include in our paving program for 2017, including an alternate list on the second page. There are 29 different street segments on the primary list and 10 more, so a total of 39 different segments of our streets in the city would be touched by this 2017 list. The budget this year is $993,000. $300,000 of that comes from our general fund, and the remaining $693,000 is from monies that we obtain through the state half-cent road tax, statewide road tax. So thankfully we have that to draw from. So with that in mind, I would just, if you have any questions, I'll pause there, and we'd like to ask you to approve this list. We already have awarded the contract for the paving. We did that a couple of weeks ago. And so we'd like to go ahead and try to get our paving program started earlier than we did last year before all the interstate paving contracts took our contractors out of the area.
Gary, when do you anticipate, if we approve this list tonight, starting these projects?
Well, we're hoping we can start in June, but we actually have a project TV Hill Road that we need to bring them in for a special, get that, we just finished putting that big sewer main, as you know, across TV Hill Road, so we're going to try to bring them in just to do that project here in the next 3 weeks.
I just want to say, this is my third year on the board, and this is the most work that has ever been scheduled for my district on this on the priority list. And I'd almost like to come down and hug your neck.
Oh.
But I won't do that. But there was one project, there's an alley here, and I looked for it today, I couldn't find it. It's 7th Street and Summer Street run parallel to each other. And it notes just a number, so I never found it. So I don't know if it's...
It's over near the Gospel Light area, cutting through there in one of those
Never
alleys.
mind, it's in Becca's district.
We're trying to pick up...
He's pulling for you.
But that's good, that's still good, okay.
For a long time, we didn't try to pave the alleys because they're, not used by a lot of people. But surprisingly, there are quite a few homes in the city that have access. They're park their car in the back and use the alley for that. Plus, their trash pickup is in those alleys. So some of them have gotten in really poor condition. So we're trying to add at least one alley every year into the paving program and catch up on some of that.
And for the last 2 years, I've spoken with you about that rub board intersection at Woodlawn and Richard. I see you have that
Yes,
on there,
sir.
and I'm really glad to see that. Then if we go to the alternate list, now I asked you this last week, but I'll ask it again. If we had the $350,000, that would be our share of the county road tax if it were levied by the quorum court instead of a general fund tax. We could probably do most of these streets on the alternate list, couldn't we?
We could, yes, sir.
I think using my calculations, we could do about 80% of them. And 2 of those projects are in my district. And I would note, I've seen several letters to the editor that are talking about our street paving program, where in the city manager's report talked about the number of streets we've done and talked about what a paltry amount this was. Well, that's directly related to the funding that we received to do streets. And I remember one letter writer even talked about this intersection of Leonard and 7th Street as being particularly bad. I notice it's on our alternate list, so they should pay attention that it's there. But according to my calculations, out of this 3.2 miles at $140,000 a mile, we could do another 2.5 miles if we had that money.
That's true. Yes, sir.
Gary, I just want to thank you for the extra effort you put in on TV Hill. Those citizens down there really pounded me quite hard on getting that done, so I want to just thank you for being able to pave that whole street for them. Thanks a lot.
It was in bad shape, and then, of course, putting that big 24-inch force main, we had to be in the street for a lot of that because of the constraints with the hillside and the utility poles and the retaining walls and so on. There just wasn't a good place to go. So
Right. They've been inconvenienced for quite a few months now, so they're going to be very happy with that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Gary, could you clarify the responsibility that the city has relative to cleanup in the alleyways? I had somebody call me regarding a tree that went down in an alley. Do we have different classes of alleys? Some are maintained by the city, some are not.
that's correct. But if there's a lot of if the alley is being used on a regular basis, especially for trash collection, then it's probably maintained by the city. In any event, if they'll just call John Faulkner at our street department or Denny or myself, he'll go and look at those. And if the tree is in the city right-of-way, we'll take care of the problem.
Okay, thank you.
Any further comments?
Just
Director Clark?
One thing, I appreciate your getting the Richard Street and Albert Pike intersection. That's a rough spot, so glad we're getting that taken care of.
Good, and we're going to use some of our Complete Streets money to rework the ADA accessibility and improve that crosswalk. We'll have to actually build 5 ADA ramps to make it meet ADA accessibility there, but we're going to rework that concrete work first. We'll be doing that pretty soon, and then we'll come back and repave the intersection.
That's great, yeah.
Very good. Any further questions or discussion amongst the board? Thank you, Gary.
Thank you all.
Hearing none, please call the roll.
Clark.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Ramick.
Aye.
Foley.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
McCabe.
Aye.
It is adopted.
At this time, we'll consider resolution number R1781. Council, would please read the resolution by title only.
Resolution R1781, a resolution of the City of Hot Springs Board of Directors requesting the Quorum Court of Garland County, Arkansas to levy the annual county road tax. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
May I have a motion to adopt?
I move for adoption.
Have a second?
Second.
Yeah, a second from Director Ramick. Do we have a staff report, or is there, did you want to make some comments, Director
Well, this
Williams?
resolution was drafted, I drafted the resolution with the help of our city attorney. And I want to say that I'm not doing this to spite anybody over at the county. I really feel this is an important issue. And I am sure that some of you who are on this board, members of the Chamber of Commerce, and even over at the county, sometimes get tired of my government/history lessons. So just permit me to say a few things about this. The first whereas, ACA 2679-104 requires 1/2 of the amount of taxes collected upon property within the corporate limits of any city or town shall be apportioned back to the city by the county collector for use in making and repairing the streets and bridges in the respective cities or towns. And whereas I won't read it that whereas, but for the last 3 years, the Quorum Court, instead of levying a road fund tax, has levied a general fund tax, which we can't levy a road tax of our own. And this has cost us, as I mentioned on the discussion on the last resolution, $350,000 approximately on an annual basis, for a total of $1 million. So this has a big impact on our street fund. I'm afraid that, if I weren't on this board in a few years, if we don't do this, people might, and the Quorum Court doesn't, people might just forget. But this is an annual tax levy. And if you'll just briefly allow me one little short history lesson. There was this former county judge that some of us know who in 2008 was faced with a fiscal problem caused by general fund that was anemic and a road fund that was flush. And so this judge proposed that the road fund millage be reduced from 1.2 to 1 mils and shift 0.2 of a mil over to the general fund, which resulted in $275,000 to the county's general fund. Now, the city stood to lose $50,000, and that was 0.2 of a mil. And this judge actually went to the city and asked for their approval of this plan, and he said, in exchange for your support of this, the county will do a like amount of street work on roads that are jointly traveled by the city and county. And there was no problem by the city with this plan. So it was a win for the city and a win for the county. What currently happens is this. Once the Quorum Court levies this 1.2 general mills, the county judge, a new county judge, transfers what he needs back to the road fund. It's a shell game. it's still a road tax because most of the roads winds up going to roads. But the way this works is the city gets cut out of its share. So this is an important issue with me, or I wouldn't be bringing this resolution before you tonight. And I think it should be important to all of us here at the city as well.
Thank you. Any further comments or discussion? Hearing none, would you call the roll, please?
Yes. Williams?
Aye.
Ramick?
Aye.
Foley?
Aye.
Davidson?
Aye.
Jones?
Aye.
Clark?
Aye.
McCabe?
Aye.
It's adopted.
This time, we'll consider resolution number R-1782. I'm sorry, motion passed.
Yes.
Number R-1782. Council, will you please read by title only?
Resolution R-1782, a resolution authorizing mayor to execute the Lake Ouachita Sub-Allocation Agreement, Attachment A, between the City of Hot Springs, Arkansas and Mid-Arkansas Water Alliance, and approving certain amendments to the 2017 budget for the City of Hot Springs, Arkansas by authorizing amendments to the water fund. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
We'll
So
accept the
moved.
we got motion to approve by Director Ramick.
Second.
A second by Director Foley. This time we'll hear from Bill Burrows,
Thank you, Mayor, members of the
Deputy
board.
City Manager.
I tell you, this has been in the works since 2004. I think this effort has outlasted some that have been in this role and prior. But it's a pleasure to be able to bring this to you tonight. It's a culmination of a lot of people's efforts, including this board's. But Lake Ouachita Water Storage Agreement between the United States Department of the Army and the Mid-Arkansas Water Alliance is for storage of 30 million gallons a day in Lake Ouachita, scheduled to be signed May 9th, 2017 at 2 p.m. Staff recommends the Board of Directors approve an agreement between the Mid-Arkansas Water Alliance and the City of Hot Springs for 23 million gallons a day of that water storage. That is the allocated percentage for the City of Hot Springs. As you know, the original amount was 15.75 million gallons per day. However, as entities needed to start purchasing that water, many turned it back into the Mid-Arkansas Water Alliance, and staff of the City of Hot Springs continued to pursue each one of those portions that was turned back. However, we did work with other partners in Garland County to make sure that they were able to obtain enough to meet their needs as well. Those being North Garland County with 5 million gallons and Hot Springs Village with 2 million gallons. So the entire portion, the 30 million gallons from Lake Ouachita, all of that will remain in our county, with maybe a slight being in Saline, depending on what Hot Springs Village does with theirs. The total cost of the storage of 30 million gallons a day is $12,436,737, amortized over 30 years, an annual cost of $579,000 and some change. The proportionate cost for the City of Hot Springs is $444,440.77 annually for 30 years. In addition, there's some slight costs for operation and maintenance, currently at $31,500 a year, with our cost being a little over $24,000 annually. That is subject to change as we move through the next 30 years. That's a number that we get each year from the Corps. One final cost is a trustee fee of $2,500, in which the city will have a proportionate share of just a little over $1,900 for that. In conclusion, the annual cost for the City of Hot Springs for the Lake Ouachita Water Storage Agreement in the amount of 23 million gallons per day is $470,507.43 annually for 30 years, and then approximately $26,000 thereafter. The 2017 Water Fund budget included $350,000 for water storage supply. A budget adjustment in the amount of $120,500 would be needed to purchase that additional 7.25 MGD, which also can be supported by the Water Fund balance. It's in a healthy shape to be able to accommodate that purchase. The resolution for the water storage agreement includes that budget amendment. I'll be glad to answer any questions, but I think this is it's a historic day for the City of Hot Springs, for Mid-Arkansas Water Alliance, and for the Corps and everyone that has worked on this particular project since 2004. Yes, sir.
Bill, I would like to personally thank you for your perseverance on this job. When we worked through some of the water issues, it became obvious that you are a real expert on the city's water situation, both in terms of where it's coming from, how much it costs us, and I'm especially impressed with your ability to work with our neighbors in this whole effort to get the water. So, at least on behalf of everybody in my district, I want to say thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Bill, I want to thank you too. I've been involved in this quite a while, and geez, the work you guys have put in for years to get this much water out of Lake Ouachita, that's all we were asking for so many years. But this is going to benefit not only City of Hot Springs, Garland County, all the Mawa customers. So, job well done. It's a win-win for all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Give
sir.
him a hand.
This time, we have one individual from the public that has signed up to speak. Mr. Driggers, please come forward.
Bob Driggers, number 3 Stonegate, and I hope you noted that I signed up on the far side this evening. So I didn't want to shock you too much. Congratulations. This is fantastic. You're taking water from the proper lake. I just hope you don't build a treatment plant down on Jack Mountain. But anyway, it's fantastic. It is a red letter day. Bill and all of you are to be congratulated for obtaining this. If you would indulge me, though, I do have 3 questions that I think we all deserve an answer to. This is not a small amount, $470,000 per year plus $26,000 thereafter. But I find nowhere in the contract anything referencing the cost per gallon. Is this a take-or-pay contract? Are we paying for 23 million gallons a day, whether we use it or not? We are.
I'll answer that.
Okay. Want to do that now, or you want me to go ahead with all 3 questions?
You've got a minute 20 left, so I'm going to let you keep going.
I better get to my questions then. There's some concern about the amortization schedule, which is page 114 of your board packet. With interest, it looks like a capital purchase. What are we purchasing? Why are we paying interest? That doesn't make a lot of sense. And what happens at the end of the 30-year period? Do we quit getting water? I see where we're going to continue paying $26,000, but surely we can't buy that much water for that amount. So those are my questions. Is it take or pay? Why is it a capital cost? Are we actually paying for the Corps for some of the money it costs them to build the dam or for their facilities? Why do we pay interest on something? And of course, I think you probably ought to go ahead, Bill, while you're at it, and say, why are we paying for 23 million gallons if we're not taking it? And what happens to our current allocation of roughly that amount from North Lake Hamilton? I look forward to hearing Mr. Burrows' answers. And again, congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Driggers.
Pleasure.
Bill?
Board wish me to answer that?
Yes, please.
In reference to the, I think it was pay now, what we were purchasing is water storage from these particular dams. So we were buying that storage immediately. So our payments would start immediately, regardless of how much we use. That's how it works on any core lake. We're actually paying back the hydropower foregone benefits in Lake Ouachita. Some lakes are different depending on what the highest cost is. In this particular lake, hydropower foregone benefits was the highest cost, so we start paying that immediately. And so you do pay that on the full 23 million gallons a day, because once we take that storage, hydropower can no longer use that. That is set aside for water storage as we need it. The reason it's 30 years, most of these are spread out. They're a 50-year cost, but they've brought all of those costs in. It was $12,436,000. We're paying that back to the Corps in 30 years, so it amortizes over that amount. There is some interest that we do pay for the construction of the dam, which is basically what we're paying back. After 30 years, we don't have that principal cost, and at that point, we'll just be paying the operation and maintenance fees, which today are about $24,150. We'll still have the trustee fees, so our total fees after 30 years will be about $26,000, and that's after the principals are paid.
Bill, our drawing of the water continues at the same level after 30 years?
Yes, we actually own the storage for 23 million gallons per day. However, the principal cost after 30 years we no longer pay. It's paid off, and then we'll only pay the operation and maintenance thereafter.
Thank you. Any other questions from the directors or any further discussion?
Told you he was the expert.
Pardon?
I said I told you he was the expert.
Very good. Okay, we can please call the roll.
Ramick.
Aye.
Foley.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
McCabe.
Aye.
Is
Resolution is approved or adopted. Brings us to the end of our agenda. We have Board of Directors comments. Any director have a comment they'd like to make? Director Foley.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to welcome you to the board.
Well, thank you. It's great being back. Appreciate that. Director Ramick.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to welcome you to the board and say good night, too. This being my last meeting, I have a lot of people I need to thank. First, the support of the board of directors. Thank you so much for having my back. Our city director, our city manager, our deputy city manager, our assistant city manager, and all the department heads. Thank you so much. I've had so many people come to me and wish me well and tell me they're sad that I'm leaving. I want to thank all the people in Kroger's and Walmart that come up and say, we hate to see you're leaving, but the circumstances being what they are, I will be leaving. And I want to thank you. I want to thank the citizens of Hot Springs and the citizens of District 5 for their support. And I will always be a supporter of the city of Hot Springs. You know, the citizens of Hot Springs need to know that a few detractors do not take away from the work that this board does and the city does. And you should be proud to be represented by these people, and they're going to take care of you. So everything's looking up today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Director Ramick.
I have one.
Director Davidson.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Ramick. I haven't concurred with Chief Stacey, but there have been some letters to the editor recently complaining about some decisions that being made by staff and the board about putting more police in certain areas, and that the writer suggested that those policemen need to be placed in the Park Avenue area. Well, according to the previous chief of police, Park Avenue and downtown were the lowest crime rate in the county. I don't know if it's still that way. Oh, he's nodding his head, so it still is. So despite what it was like 8, 10, 12, 15 years ago, Park Avenue Community Association and the residents have done a very good job of cleaning things up. So I just wanted to correct the item that had been in the paper. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Davidson. Any other comments from directors? I'd like to thank interim mayor Becca Clark for her service over the interim period, and you did a fantastic job. Thank you very much. You retain your position as assistant mayor. So if I go down or something happens, be ready to slide on over here. Yeah, wear my helmet. Got to wear my helmet. Yes.
Helmet.
So thank you very much. And Director Ramick, we served. We sat next to each other for the better part of 4 years or so, and I know that you always came prepared, and you provided wise counsel to the staff and the balance of the board, and you'll be missed. But we understand your decision, and thank you for your commitment to the community.
Thank you so much.
And just on behalf of the community and certainly the board of directors, I appreciate you all in supporting me in this role as mayor. Since I was sworn into office, I've had 3 ceremonial functions. One was 5 hours after swearing in, and the entity that I visited, they were told that the mayor was going to be out of town 2 weeks ago, and that might have been your schedule. And they were very almost fell over backwards, not understanding that how this happened. So I said, well, I've been a mayor for 5 hours and I'm fresh off the grill. So so they were tickled pink, and of course we had a youth reception or function at Webb Center today on technology. Part of the kind of ties in with the Governor Asa Hutchinson's coding initiative in schools, and so we had a welcome there, and one other. So well, we had the open house opening of the Waters Hotel last night, and a fine addition to downtown Hot Springs. So we have a lot of good things going on in a number of areas, and I'm certainly happy to be back and be part of it. And we have been working on the water issue for so long. I mean, it's been a very long journey, and as others have indicated, Bill, you've been a kind of a common thread throughout all that, and so thank you very much. It's kind of I don't know what the right word is, but to sit here and to come back on the very day that we're approving this, because we were at DeGray, we were Washita, I remember all those. Hamilton, we'd been working back. What do they call them? Those container gates. What were those? Tanker gates. So we've come a long way. So without any further ado, I'm not aware of anybody who signed up for the comments after adjournment. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move, Mr. Mayor.
I second.
We got a motion to adjourn by Director Jones, seconded by Director Ramick. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Everybody sign.
Adjourned.